Bob Devine. I'm the conference president. I'm from San Diego First Church. We have a few of our district people here. Our former president, who's acting as our East President, Richard Kim, who many of you have seen for years. Richard is working today. I think this is the first meeting in history that I've ever been at, nationally, locally, or anything else, that Richard Kim wasn't at. Richard is the glue that holds this group together. I certainly want to acknowledge the fact that Richard would be here if he could. He's tied up in work. He's got a lot of conflicts and he couldn't make it today, but he's here in the spirit, and I've got a lot of his shirts and hats over there in bags, and Richard brought all of his things, and so he's still here. We also have Reggie Grant. Where's Reggie? Oh, there he is. He's standing behind his camera. Reggie is, in addition to being our Los Angeles West District President, Reggie is also on the General Commission of United Methodist Men. In fact, we have, I'll introduce them later, but we have two members of the General Commission on United Methodist Men. Stand up again, or put your hand up so everybody can see. Rich is also a former professional football player. Rich. And I would be remiss if to say, Reggie is available to speak to your
Bob's my agent.
No, you're your own agent. I get a million emails from you. This is Dennis Olson. Dennis, stand up. Dennis is Vice President, and he's the district president of the South District right now. And Dennis is another one of those people, along with Richard Kim, who represents us on all the conference commissions and is involved in everything. One of the great fountains of knowledge in our group, and a good leader. We're glad to have him here too. Go ahead.
For those of you who may not have met him, this is Dr. Steve Hundley. Up on the stage a lot during plenary sessions. He came to us from Virginia. I had the pleasure of being able to interview a lot of people for the position he filled, and he was by far the best candidate for that position, and we're all excited that Steve came to us from Virginia and is helping our conference a lot. So Steve, thank you much for being here.
Clapping. Are you the new executive director?
I've been here, I'm ending my first year as executive director of Connectional Ministries.
Okay.
So I work in the conference center and supervise the program staff. Nicole Riley, David Berkey, O.L. Hortelis, Jennifer Gutierrez, and those EMTs. So that's what I do.
So does that make you sort of the chief of staff for the conference?
I think that's probably accurate.
I'm an old Navy guy, so I'm trying to figure out how this works. But basically, for the bishop, he's kind of running the show. So we're very honored to have you
I'm
here.
very pleased to be
here. Thank you very much for coming and joining us. I also have Ray Paul. And he is also our conference scouting coordinator and very active in national scouting. We're not going to talk a lot today about scouting. We've got some of the other ministries, but scouting is a major ministry of the United Methodist Men nationally. We're the ones who have taken on most of that. And I think, sort of maybe along with the Mormons or something, whoever else it is, there are more scouting groups in Methodist churches than anybody else. I'm not sure of that.
LDS still beats us out.
The LDS beat us out, the Mormons. But we're very big into this, very well respected within the scouting community. Former president of our conference, who preceded Richard Kim, who's not here, who preceded me, who has gone on to become the president of the Western jurisdiction of UMM, and who also sits, as Reggie does, on the General Commission of the United Methodist Men, and that's Larry Dozier. Larry was reelected last year to another term as the jurisdictional president, Western jurisdictional of UMM. Richard Kim, who's not here, is also the jurisdictional vice president of UMM. I had Wade coming, and I wanted him to be my headliner, and I'm so happy that he is here. He's here from Virginia, and I'm going to let him tell you about St. Andrews and about what we do instead of myself. But this is Wade Mays. Wade essentially tell you about himself as well as telling you about St. Andrews.
Thanks a lot, Bob. It's great to be here. It's great to have a fellow Virginian here as well. I didn't know you were here. That's great.
I was the Roanoke superintendent until last July.
I didn't know you were here.
Right next to where he is.
Absolutely, not far away at all. And I'm from actually our office is located in Big Island, Virginia. How many of you have ever heard of Big Island? Any of you heard of Big Island? A couple. I know you can. I'll tell you one thing, it's not big and it's not an island, that's for sure. Who knows where they came up with the name, but that's how we do things in Virginia. But no, it's a great area where we started our organization, Society of St. Andrew, and we were started 35 years ago. And I'll briefly kind of go through a few things. And how many of you are familiar with our ministry, Society of St. Andrew? A few of you? And I knew there would be some that were not. And one thing we're looking to do, we're looking to really establish more of a presence out here in Cal-Pac, and really even open an office out here coming up a little bit later on in this year. And we know we need to do that because there's so much produce out here. And kind of in a nutshell, you'll see it here, but our ministry, we exist to glean America's fields and feed America's hungry. We're all about feeding hungry people and making sure they're being fed in the name of Jesus. And because we believe that, if there's one person hungry around us, that's something that God couldn't be pleased about, especially when we have so much. We've been given so much, and we need to see that folks can be fed by that. And we've been given so much, but so much is wasted. You see food that goes to waste. I mean, whether it's in restaurants or whether it's in farmers' fields is where we find a lot of it. They can't harvest all of the food, but some of it the machines will miss, or some of it they may not have enough workers, or the economy's tight, they may not need to pay everyone to go out and do it. So a lot of the food gets left behind and just rots. And we're able to go out and do a lot of that. But that's a general overview at the beginning. I wanted to go into, how long do I have? 30 minutes or so? 10 minutes over here. I just want to give a general overview of the ministry, though. And I thought I would start out with some quiz questions here to see how alert everyone is early this morning. Now, coming from Virginia, it's already 10:25 for me, so I'm alert. I haven't even had coffee, and I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. But let's see how alert everyone is here. Now, see these green beans here? They're going to the landfill. And see, that's one thing we find that happens a lot with large tractor-trailer loads of produce that we get. Say there's a tractor-trailer load of potatoes or green beans or cabbage or watermelons, and they're going to Costco or to Walmart or to Target. One thing we found out, it's cheaper for them to take that produce to the landfill, if there's something wrong with it, than it is to get it to feed hungry people. Now, the reason some of these things would go to the landfill, they might be too big. It might not look quite pretty enough. It might have a little cut in it, a little blemish. And they know, Costco, any type of store knows that American consumers, they don't want to buy anything that doesn't look pretty enough. We want to buy something that looks good, and we know it's going to be good for us. So the produce can still be great. It just might be misshapen a little bit. It's going to go to the landfill. Now, isn't that horrible? Isn't that just horrible, knowing that it's still perfectly edible? People can still eat it, but it's going to go to the landfill. So why do you think these are going to the landfill? Are they not fresh? Nobody likes green beans, or the wrong length? Or they have botulism spores? What do you say? Wrong length?
Yeah.
They're the wrong length. These were a little bit too long. Now, the green bean is too long. It's still edible. It's still a good green bean, but it's just too long. And they know when we go to buy it, we wouldn't want it to be good. And we've done a lot of really make an impact, because think of all the people, I mean, that live in California. I mean, just millions and millions of folks. And think of how many of those people need fresh produce. And that's one thing that we find in talking with food banks and soup kitchens. They have a lot of filler type food. They have a lot of canned goods. They have a lot of boxes. They have a lot of those types of food. But they really are in desperate need for fresh produce, fresh fruits and vegetables, because that type of food, especially for someone who's hungry, can really help them. And whereas the filler type stuff is not the best nutrition that we found. The food that gets wasted here in America, right now, it's about 130 billion pounds of food gets wasted every year. Think about that. That was B with a billion. 130 billion pounds of food goes to waste. We wouldn't have to grow one more acre of food to feed every man, woman, and child, every hungry man, woman, and child here in America, from what we just using what we have to waste to feed them. We wouldn't have to grow any more food at all. We already have it. It's just going to waste. Whether it's through being left in the fields, or whether they're the wrong shape, or just some condition, we have the food. We just have to get that food to feed those that are. This is the Rose Bowl, and the USDA has come up with many different studies, but there one that I was just telling you about, the 130 billion pounds that is wasted here in America each year, was one of those recent stats. And the USDA has actually recognized Society of St. Andrew as the premier gleaning organization in America. And while a lot of these studies, and while that was coming out, they compared different waste and what it would actually fit into. So the Rose Bowl, which, as you know, it's really wide. It's about 100,000 folks, just a little bit over 100,000 seats. The waste in America would fill the Rose Bowl every day, 365 days a year, 2 times, all the way from the field to the top. You can fill it every single day. You can just throw your waste in there. That's more of a visual to see what that would take. That would be every day of the year. It's not hard to fathom. It would just fill up, and we're talking from the ground all the way up to the top, 2 times a day. And I mean, this is a little bit of the waste that's going to the landfill, and it's just hard to fathom. And when I first heard about this ministry, I thought something so simple. Why wasn't more being done earlier? And it's a very simple process, but it's all about getting things from point A, from the farm, or from the trucks to feed those. One thing we also have learned about it in recent years, the methane gas that comes from the landfill is incredible. It's in fact, the car here, we were going, one car for a year emits, I can't remember the exact number, but 1 ton of food emits the same amount as a car for 1 year of rotting food. 1 ton of food. Think about that. We're trying to clean the air, to do different things. I know smog and a lot of issues out here in California, and the environment's a really big deal. But think about that. 1 ton of food in the landfill emits the same amount of methane all over. Why do you do this? Why do you volunteer? Why do you care about people that are hungry? Why do you do it? Well, we do it all in the name of Jesus. And we really want to see that every person in America that is hungry will be fed physically, but also spiritually as well. So, I appreciate that.
I want to thank Wade again for coming out here.